my name's Carly. I am the growth lead at adjoe. We are a ad tech company based in Hamburg, Germany. My background has been in helping mobile game advertisers reach and scale their user base before switching sides and focusing on helping app publishers monetize their user base with the power of rewarded ads. And for the purposes of today, I'm going to switch gears completely and focus on adjoe's first-party data to give you an idea of the state of hyper-casual gaming. To give you an idea, adjoe is home to our own first-party data, and we recently partnered with our Hamburg neighbor and leading data provider Statista to create a mobile game index. So today, let's talk about the games leading the index, their top mechanics, and I'd like to give you a global overview of hyper-casual gamers in general. But before we begin, let me give you a little introduction to adjoe. Like I said, adjoe is a mobile games growth platform, and we create our own ad units focusing on the power of rewarded engagement. We have our own format, Playtime, and adjoe Advance, which is made exclusively for hyper-casual gaming advertisers. We were founded in 2018, so pre-pandemic, pre-crazy industry growth, and now we have been in Hamburg for the past few years, and we're financially backed by Bertelsmann, Europe's largest media conglomerate. We're proud to be part of the Applied Group, a group of ad tech startups that are focusing on changing the mobile economy and helping apps grow. Okay, so introducing adjoe and Statista's mobile game index. This past November, we published our first edition of the index, which focused on evaluating how mobile games are performing based on the amount of time users are spending playing these games. We then looked at the overall time spent landscape for different app verticals in each region. We looked at app verticals and how different user demographics like age and gender contribute to gameplay. And then lastly, we looked at some of the games that are really driving the most user engagement by captivating the users for the longest amount of time per day. So let me get into the details of how everything is calculated and who we're evaluating. The first thing is the purpose of the index was to evaluate mobile games and celebrate the apps that have successfully captured the user's attention. Finding users is a tricky business. I don't need to tell you guys that, but finding users who are engaged and engaged for the long term is extremely important. So we wanted to see which apps are driving the most amount of gameplay per day, and that was the purpose of this index. The first edition of the MGI allows developers to then benchmark their performance against the world's best mobile games. So basically, we'd like to give you guys the tools to look at which games are driving the most attention. We're looking at the different age and gender demographics for each genre to give you an idea of what the global averages or regional averages are, so then you can see how your game's performance is stacking up against the rest. And to get a little more specific, looking at our methodology, our business is in time spent. Our ad format, Playtime, rewards users for their time spent playing mobile games. So we are home to the first-party data of apps based on the amount of time users are spending. So then to create the mobile game index, what we did is we took Android gaming apps and then we ranked them by the largest number of installs according to our first-party data. And then we ranked them based on the amount of time users are spending per day playing these games on a daily basis. The verticals that are in question for the mobile game index are hyper-casual, of course, casual, which we broke down into, which we created out of a bunch of subcategories, including board, card, educational games, puzzle games, trivia games, word games, sports games, and casual games in general. We also looked at mid-core games broken down by adventure, simulation, action, and arcade, and racing. And then finally, hardcore with strategy and role-playing. And then we looked at social casino because social casino has taken the industry by storm as well, like hyper-casual games. So foreshadowing, like I just said, hyper casual games have taken the industry by storm. They're the number one downloaded app genre for all mobile games. And if you think about the core foundation of hyper casual games, what they're there for is they're for users to jump right in. The amount of time that users are investing to understand the mechanics or understand the gameplay is extremely simple, so that any user who wants to take a break to play a game can jump right into playing a hyper casual game, making it accessible for basically everyone. And that's really has contributed to the success of hyper casual gaming over the past years. So like I said, let's look at hyper casual games, and based on statistics data, we were able to find out why users are playing these games. And with such clear controls and mechanics, a lot of users can jump right into the gameplay. They can begin enjoying. And we found that the number one reason that users are engaging with hyper casual games as a form of stress release. You can take a break from your everyday life and just start playing any kind of hyper casual game. There's a low barrier to learn. And you can enter the game and begin playing and have instant gratification of completing each level, stepping away from your life. And that has led the pack as the number one reason of why users are playing. Another one is passing time. Everyone's on their phones in general, but passing time playing games makes the most sense. And then following that, feeling of accomplishment for completing something challenging. The past years have really thrown a lot of challenging things at people. I think when it comes to gaming, sometimes it's the best way to step away, feel like you completed something, whether it's something as simple as completing a puzzle or a quick level, clearing a grid. This feeling of accomplishment is one of the main foundations of why people love hyper casual games. Another thing is being able to express something unique about yourself. Something cool about hyper casual games is, while a lot of them use similar elements in their gameplay, the ability to kind of mix and match certain elements and give the users the chance to express themselves is a core foundation for a lot of the games. Connecting with people that I already know. Connecting with people has been challenging for 2 years. So gaming has really kind of filled that void of giving people connection in trying times. And that's also the case for hyper casual games. And then lastly, one of the coolest characteristics for me about the hyper casual gaming industry is that the ability to create new games, new styles, new concepts rapidly is unlike any other part of the industry. So I think that it makes sense that users are kind of dazzled by something unique, because with every day they can find a new hyper casual game, whether or not the mechanic is the same as another game. The variations that are seen offer a unique gaming experience with hundreds of ideas thrown out every day. So it's definitely a unique gaming experience. Okay. Looking more at the adjoe data. So like I said, time spent is our area of expertise. And so with this category, we've seen that on average, users are spending 7.4 minutes a day playing globally. While this isn't the biggest amount of time spent per day compared to other categories, I think it goes to say something about the genre in general. The foundation of hyper casual games is their simplicity, the instant gratification that they drive for the user, and their accessibility to everyone. So while this isn't the most time heavy investment, something interesting about hyper casual games is if you're playing one game for 7.4 minutes a day, you're able to have a premium gaming experience, and you're making games that are accessible to all kinds of users, which is really driving why this is the largest installed genre out of all app categories. The next thing is we looked at the time spent in hyper casual games by age. Something that is not surprising to adjoe, maybe it's surprising to you, is that older users are the biggest gamers right now. This is not just for hyper casual games. Across the board, we're seeing that on the mobile games index, in most of the app categories, older users are the ones who are spending the most amount of time playing mobile games. And I think something that's also worth mentioning is that the average age of mobile gamers is increasing year over year. And I think currently right now we're seeing the average age of a mobile gamer is around 38 years old. So as people are more on their smartphones or getting more into mobile gaming and looking for these breaks from reality, hyper casual games don't discriminate against ages. Of course, you see that younger users are on average spending about 36% less time than the global average playing hyper casual games. But we're seeing that these fun games, fun snappy games, are connecting with everyone across the board. The next thing is time spent in minutes playing hyper casual game by gender. Another thing to compare to the rest of the mobile game index is that female users are the biggest mobile gamers. This is for hyper casual games, this is for casual games, this is for mid-core games, this is for social casino. The only exception we saw is that male users spend more time playing hardcore games than the other genres. But with hyper casual games, even though there's a slight favoritism by female users spending more time a day, the general numbers are relatively close, showing that both male and female users there's a hyper casual game out there for everyone. Breaking it down then by geo, looking at each geo, APAC and Europe kind of lead the pack in the amount of time users are spending playing hyper casual games, with North America and Africa being the ones who are spending the least amount of time playing hyper casual games. So without further ado, this is the Mobile Games Index, and this is looking at the top games based on how much time users are spending playing these games on a daily basis. And something that you might already be seeing as you look at it is there's a lot of overlap between some of the games that are making the top of the Play Store charts and some of the games on the index who are captivating the users for the longest amount of time. So what you can see here is that we ranked by different regions: North America, Europe, APAC, LATAM, and Africa. And we see leading games like Chain Cube, Idle Arcs, Cat Escape, Save the Girl. We have multiple rankings for Bottle Flip and a couple of the Say Games titles on the ranking. With these titles, it leaves us to wonder, what are these games which mechanics are these games using, and what are they doing to keep the users' interest and keep the users playing for the longest amount of time? So what we're going to do here is I'm going to pick a couple of titles off of this list, and I'm going to look at the mechanics and how the game is, how the gameplay works that keeps the user interested and playing. So the core mechanics of top ranked apps, we're going to look at Chain Cube. I think that's a must for an app that made the #1 place in 3 different regions. Lion Studios' Save the Girl, Cat Escape by Sunday, Blend It 3D by Say Games, and Sweet Crossing Snake.io from Moonton. Okay, the first one is looking at Chain Cube, and the core mechanic here is merging. And what I like a lot about merging is that it kind of gives the user a sense of like a satisfying experience. Basically, you can see clear progression for every move you're making, basically, because with each cube you see here, you're aiming to merge it into another cube to create a new cube. So the satisfying experience is then created by taking the 2 block, smashing it into the other 2 block, creating a 4 block. Or if the 2 block is blocked, then you can try to push other blocks into each other. And in this case, you see that the 8 blocks are merging together to be the 16, then the 32, then you get the 48. And with each merging block, you kind of get this feeling of instant gratification and level progression so that you're always feeling like you're moving forward. Another reason why this game works so well is that it kind of plays off the user's cognitive abilities, right? You take matching colors, matching numbers, and the user knows immediately what they need to do. There's no question of where that 2 block needs to go. It needs to go into the red 2 block. And so this, by focusing on these 2 things, it's a way for users to instantly jump into the game and instantly feel like playing and continuously playing because of the visual simplicity and the also the simplicity driving instant gratification. The next one is focusing on Line Studio Save the Girl. I call it a this or that mechanic. You could call it a choosing mechanic, whatever you prefer. But basically, how it works is you're given a set of simple choices. And so the user then must decide whether they want to, if it's raining, whether they want to give the girl an umbrella or a smoothie. And the obvious answer becomes the umbrella. But what's key here is that it's not just about making simple choices. It's also about making the choices fun and adding an element of problem solving. So here with Save the Girl, I think they do a really great job of mixing in the feeling of, again, level progression through each choice, but also kind of throwing the user for a loop. For example, here, the girl, she was hungry, she's cold, she's on her raft. I obviously thought the choice was to give her the fishing rod, but then that's when the sea monster appears, and that's where the surprise and the level of unpredictability throws the user off, keeping them engaged. For this or that or choosing mechanics, I think the key thing here is making sure that there's a nice balance of unpredictability and a nice balance of just a normal, obvious answer, because that is what keeps the user to continuously play the game, as opposed to feel like, okay, this is obvious, this is obvious, this is obvious, or vice versa, where it's like, okay, let me choose the thing that's a little bit questionable because there's probably a silly scenario with each level. So just kind of throwing in that nice balance of unpredictability and obvious makes the user play for longer periods of time, and it works quite well for this genre. The next one is Stay Games Blend It 3D. I really like this game because it takes a multi-mechanic approach. It has timed actions, it has choosing, and it kind of gives the user a sense of like up and downs in their gameplay. With timed actions, they give kind of a short burst of rush because the users are trying to, in this case, tap on the blender so that the cell phone is being blended into the drink. But obviously, if you tap too much, your fingers are going to get cut off. So it's just finding that right balance of filling the drink to the right line and giving you that rush that you have to tap, 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 tap until the right exact moment. So adding an element of fear factor to get the user into the game. The next element here is then the user has the choice of how to decorate the drink. So adding this second mechanic into the game kind of slows the user down, gives the user a chance to think, okay, what's missing here? It needs a lightning bolt. Let me add that in. Boom, lightning bolt added. And then finally, it wraps it up with another timing mechanic where you have to add the spaceship and make sure you tap at the perfect moment. So I think what's great about the multi-mechanic approach is that the choosing adds like a bit of the storytelling to the drink. The tapping and the timing adds a bit of a rush so that it creates kind of a little bit of a small roller coaster in the user's gameplay. Another thing worth saying is that with hyper casual games, on average, in my experience, I've seen that they're using anywhere from 1 mechanic to 4 mechanics to kind of keep the user engaged and add like different variations to the gameplay. So in this case, I think they do a great job of mixing different elements for each drink level in Blend It 3D. The next one is Cat Escape by Sunday. I would categorize this as a puzzle hyper casual game. And what is tricky about puzzle games is that you have to find the right balance between simplicity and challenge in the puzzle. Because puzzle has its own app category, but with a hyper casual puzzle game, you want to give the users a slight challenge so that they are engaged and want to play it without making it too easy, Or if it becomes too hard, then it becomes more of a puzzle game. So what I think Sunday does a really great job of is taking various elements within the gameplay and kind of reconstructing them within each level. So you have these guys with the nets that you have to watch out for, and with each level they're in different rooms and different scenarios, and with each room you have to go different routes. And I think that keeping the level of challenge for the player is critical to make the puzzle game successful in hyper casual gaming, but keeping the creativity by kind of rearranging these elements in ways that adds a bit of challenge and unpredictability to the user is why Cat Escape has been so successful. And I hate to say it, I'm a dog person, but a lot of the world loves cats, so I think that cats probably are successful in general for a lot of games. But I think that the core things here then are simplistic puzzle mechanic, creative use of different elements, and then you have to mention the cute cat. The next game is Sweet Crossing. It's a traditional growing mechanic. It's what you see in standard Snake games. What I like about this game is the animation. With Snake, it's straightforward. You are driving the snake to kind of make the snake continue growing. And the challenge then arises as you grow as a snake, and you have to manage the grid in which you're shown. And watching out and making yourself your own obstacle makes the game challenging. But with this game, I think what stands out again, like I said, is the animation. It's a cute variation of the snake game, adding in fun elements, whether it's snacks or with donuts or hearts or whatever. It gives the user a fresh approach to this growing mechanic and giving it more of a fun animated gameplay. And basically those are some of the core mechanics that you're finding on the mobile games index, in addition to other mechanics like idle, or you see popular mechanics like swerving or dexterity, some that are pushing. But basically the key finding that I've found in my experience is that for games focusing on anywhere from 1 to 4 of these mechanics in their gameplay has been really successful to keep the users engaged and interested. Variations to games is key. Like I said, with Sweet Crossing, it's just a cool version of a snake game, and with really great graphics, focusing on keeping the user surprised is key, and making it challenging but not too challenging. That's preventing the user from wanting to continue playing, because overall, what is a hyper casual game doing for these users? It's giving everyone a break, and we want to play the games. We want to play them for stress relief. We want to play them to escape. We want to play them for a sense of completion. So finding the right balance between creating challenges and creating an instantly gratifying experience is key to drive the gameplay. So thank you for listening. Check out our mobile game index if you're interested in more information about different app verticals. We have the index live on our website. Otherwise, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about hyper casual games, happy to talk about game mechanics, any kind of mobile game in general. Happy to learn and see if there's any way that we can learn from each other. So get in contact. I'm Carly, and I am the growth marketing lead at adjoe. Looking forward to chatting.